Grace Randolph beyond the trailer.
Hi, Grace. How are you?
Hi, it's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you here too.
You're a big power player in the MCU. That's pretty cool.
It's just awesome to be a part of the Marvel team. What can I say?
Well, I know there's some things you can't comment on going forward, but it's pretty cool to see sidekicks finally enter the MCU. So going forward, how are these younger characters that you're starting to introduce? What's their relationship going to be to the established characters? How are you going to balance it out? Just
I think our focus for each of the projects is making sure that we bring in these new characters like Kate Bishop in the coming into the fold in the right way. It's got to be in a way that fits within the MCU and makes sense in order for a future to happen. So if people aren't going to like that character, there will be no future. So our focus really is to spend that time making sure that she fits in a way that made sense to Clint. And as you see, there was an incident, earlier in the episode that sort of connect them in a way. And that's the exciting factor, is like, how can it be connected in the MCU, as well as having the story be a standalone in a way where it's a little bit more personal. And I think like I said, with a lot of these characters, is finding that way in to make sure that it lands properly now.
Oh, you found an entry point. I was very impressed with that. I thought that was excellent. I can't wait for everyone to see it. Out of all the MCU projects that we've seen to date, I would say this is the most inspired by the source material, the Fraction Asia comic. And so, you have same characters, lots of the visuals are carried over. What made you and your team want to be so faithful to that comic in particular?
I remember reading it for the first time, and
that's cool.
I couldn't put it down. It was just so much fun. And there was so much great stuff in there that I was like, well, how are we going to be able to fit all of this in? Because I love everything about it. And I think most importantly, I love Clint and Kate's relationship in the comics. It was the dynamic. It was their fun bickering and bantering and their nonstop opposing views and joking and poking fun at each other. So it was like their conversations was just like endless, but so much fun that anything can happen in the background. But it was the two of them that really made it special. So how do we pull that and make sure that it lands in the series and be a part of the MCU that made sense? So I think it was just, like I said, there's so much great history in the comics. And we originally started talking about Hawkeye as a feature. We only had 2 hours to explore, the story. And I remember putting down the comics, was like, I can't do this in 2 hours. There's so much great stuff. So at that time, Disney Plus was launching, and Kevin mentioned, it was like, well, why not move this over to the series so that you actually have more time to explore those two characters. And so we have 6 hours worth of content that we can, which is why there's a lot more of the source material that we were trying to pull in, because the style, the tone, I think that's what sets this particular story apart from all the other ones. One of the other factors is, how do we make this show and any other show that are on Disney Plus different from each other? And it was the light-hearted tone in the source material that we wanted to make sure that is preserved in the comics. I mean,
I like that. You did do that for sure. My last question for you is, during the Disney Plus Day preview for Marvel, I loved the long take that was highlighted for Hawkeye. You just don't have a long take. You have a moving long take. So I only have like about a minute left in my window here, but how is it choreographing that?
Very detailed. A lot of moving parts. The Burts, our directors on that particular episode, just really wanted to do something different, right? And it's the amazing team. It's the different parts and pieces that are really choreographed. We spent a lot of time before that we started rolling the cameras and sort of positioning everything that needed to be where it needed to be in order to get those shots, because in TV space there's a very, very limited amount of time that we have to get 6 hours worth of content. So we have to be very precise in terms of everything that we needed to do, and this was one of the most interesting part and aspect of of the series. I was trying to be a little bit vague so that I'm not spoiling anything for anybody, but it is a lot of precision and a lot of detailed work that we put, beforehand in order to execute the type of shot that we did.
Well, it looks incredible. I can't wait to see the rest of the series.
I can't wait for everybody to see it.
Nice meeting you.
Bye. Nice meeting you too.
Bye.